Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Am Love Builders show. We're your hosts, Casper and Cheryl Stockham, and we want to give a great big shout out to all of our broadcast partners. Thank you for joining us today. I Am Love Builders is a show that's devoted to all things dealing with relationships and communication. Whether you are married or single, our goal is to help you to become an MVP. That's the most valuable partner in your marriage or relationship.
Yes.
And we also want you to remember that if you're not
Having
having
fun,
fun, you're
you're
not
not doing
doing
it
it right.
right. No doubt about that. Hey, our sponsors to the show is I Am Love Builders. We wrote a book called Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. It's on the Amazon Hot New Release list. And we have an MVP Partner Club call that we do twice a month. It's a paid subscription to that. But prior to that, we do free training. We call it MVP Huddle. We do a free training twice a month on social media, so you can check that out. We have free workshops we do for groups of 10 or more. So if you have a company or a nonprofit or just a group of 10 or more people who want to get together, we will do a free workshop for you. We have a TV show that we are casting for. In fact, we're probably fully casted now. We just have to do some follow ups. But that show is going to be filmed in August, and then we're going to have a release late October, November timeframe. So we're super excited about the TV show. If you want to win a free bronze MVP membership, all you have to do is download Zandra TV. Now, you may have not heard of Zandra TV, but if you go to your Roku, Apple, or Amazon device and do a search for Zandra TV, you will find it and download it, and you could win a free bronze MVP membership. So we're super excited about that. All right, so we're going to bring on our guest for today and had a chance to speak to visit with this couple weeks ago, and awesome couple. We're going to get into their background, but we have Rabbi Yosin and Sarah Goldson. Yosin and Goldson. Yosin is a professional speaker and advisor. You can get more information about him by going to ethicsninja.com. So we are excited to have you guys on the show.
Hello,
Welcome.
guys.
Welcome. Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And happy Father's Day. And I know you're a father and a grandfather, so happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Well, it is happy.
Yes, yes. I have three daughters, three granddaughters, and one great grandson. So
Wow.
He's busy.
yeah,
We have a lot of girl power over here.
Right.
no doubt about that. So, guys, we wanted to have you on the show because we talk about relationships and couples and so forth, and we love to have couples on to kind of tell us about their story. And we're definitely going to get into some of the things you've been doing, Yosa, because I noticed that you did a TED Talk, and I'm interested to hear about that process as well. We've got 4 segments to kind of unpack all this. So whoever wants to start out, kind of tell us about how you guys met and came together, and now you have all these wonderful children that you get to celebrate.
We,
Want me to go ahead?
it doesn't matter.
Well, we come from opposite sides of the country. I grew up in Los Angeles, but I escaped,
And I grew up in Massachusetts.
Okay.
and we met in Israel.
Right.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
I finished college. I went backpacking, went hitchhiking cross country, backpacking across Europe, and ended up in Israel on my way to Africa, Asia, and Australia. But I never made it to those places. When I got to Israel, I connected with my Jewish roots, and
With you? Oh, the Jewish roots.
Mm-hmm.
just changed the whole course of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, on another part of the planet,
Right. So I was living in Providence, Rhode Island, which is right near Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Providence, Rhode Island, and getting in touch with my Jewish roots, and decided I was going to take a year off from my work. I was working in advertising as a marketer for an AM FM radio station in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I was living in Providence, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided I was going to take 6 months off and go to Israel and learn about Judaism. And I went and I decided, I think I need to stay a little bit longer. And I stayed for a year, and I met him 1 year, just about a year after I got to Israel.
Okay.
And it was very interesting how we met. Part of Judaism is observing the Sabbath, which we call Shabbat or
Yeah.
Shabbos. And so often you'll go to different people's homes for meals for Shabbos and stuff. And so I went with my roommate. We were, how do I describe that?
Oh, you don't. You were
yeah.
good.
We were wanting to be in the center of Jerusalem, within walking distance to the Western Wall on Shabbos, because we don't drive and we observe Shabbos. We abstain from creative labor.
Correct.
On Shabbos.
Correct.
And so we needed to be walking distance to the Western Wall. And so we were staying with this family, and they were very nice. But like, we had nothing in common with them. They spoke Yiddish. She was from a very old family, from a family that had lived in Jerusalem continuously for like 25 generations.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. And her first language was Yiddish. And at the time, I think she had 7 kids, the oldest of which was like 11. And I was there with my roommate, and we were like, wow, this is a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, and then we left. We stayed with them for Shabbat and had meals with them, and everything was delicious. And they call it Haknasas Orachim, which is hosting guests. And they had tremendous Haknasas Orachim, and they were so happy to have us. And then
So 2 weeks after
2 weeks later, he was there with his roommate.
my roommate had met this fellow, and we went for the Sabbath. And I don't even think we were up to the first course yet, the Friday night meal, when he turns to me, he says, so you going out? You meeting girls? I said, yeah. He said, I got a girl for you. I said, yeah, sure you do.
Right. I think it was, we both spoke English and we were both tall.
Right.
So it took some doing before we actually met. And
It took like a month.
yeah, at least a month.
Yeah, because he was living up north and I was living in Jerusalem, which is a big city. Jerusalem. That's what, like, where I wasn't walking distance to the.
Anyway, so we met on a Friday night. We met again Saturday night. We met the Sabbath after that, and we were engaged 2.5 weeks after we met.
Right, 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
We got engaged and we got married 8 weeks after we met.
Wow.
I think you guys have actually beat us out.
You're in good company.
I know, because you got married very quickly.
Yeah,
right?
we met, and we had our first date on I think it was like the 16th of August. And then we went out. Well, we had a first date on the 16th of August. A week later, we went out to we had dinner at my house. He brought something. I made something. He proposed to me. And
at the first date?
Yes.
Well, no.
Wow.
A week later. A week later.
Okay.
It was more. I guess it was more of our second date.
Second date, yeah.
And then 5 weeks later, we got married, because we got married on September 28th.
Oh yeah, you beat us.
Yeah.
Not by much, though. Not by much.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then we have now been married for 21 years.
How long have we been married?
And we recently had our 36th wedding
Yay!
anniversary.
Very good.
Awesome.
In our culture, in the religious Jewish culture, the whole approach to relationships, intimate relationships, is much different. There's no physical contact before marriage.
Right.
It's all about values.
Yes.
It starts with values. Do we want the same things in life? Do we have the same way of looking at the world? Do we have a sense of common purpose? And then if there's that chemistry that makes it look like it's going to work, then it often does.
Well, let's explore that thought here. We're going to take a quick break. If you're watching live, it's just going to be like 10 seconds. But if you're watching later, it might be maybe a minute or so for our sponsors. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, we are back, and we are talking with Rabbi Yoshin,
Yonason.
Yonason.
There you go.
Yonason and Sarah. Sarah's easy. Yonason.
Most people call me late for dinner. That's what my father did.
Yonason. And Yonason is a professional speaker and an advisor. You can get more information by going to his website, ethicsninja.com. And we were getting into the, you're talking about in the Jewish culture, and actually in the Christian culture, it's supposed to be the same, by the way. Because when Cheryl and I met and dated and got engaged and got married, one of the many things that we talked about, and one of the many things that Cheryl told me, which is there will be no physical relationship until after we're married.
Okay.
And that was different for me, but something she had committed to, and I wanted to be her husband, so I was committed to it as well. But you're saying in the Jewish culture that's like like a prerequisite or something going on.
Yeah, it's physical.
And the religious culture.
Religious
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, religious culture.
In a physical relationship, it's a kind of intimacy that sort of skips over the foundational part.
Mhm.
So people can feel that they're very much connected and very much in tune with each other, but they haven't really done the hard work
Yes.
of learning who they are and knowing what they want.
Yes.
And that may last a while, but very often it breaks down before too much longer.
Well, it can also become a distraction.
Oh,
Right,
Have
absolutely.
that infatuation or the physicality or your own needs and desires, which might jump to the forefront instead of, wait a minute, do I really want to be married to this guy for the next 35 years?
Oh yeah, it creates all kinds of challenges that I never realized it until I met Cheryl, how many challenges that it created. Yes, doing
It
it
kind of
that way.
clouds your vision.
Oh, for sure. I mean it, and it just messes you up more than you think it would. So I wish more young people would realize how damaging it could be, and probably is, if they have physical relations before marriage.
Yeah, my book, Proverbial Beauty, I actually write about a former Miss America, Heather Whitestone.
Oh, wow.
That she, after becoming Miss America, she's very attractive, she's very talented, she's an impressive young lady.
Mhm.
And when she got engaged, one of the things that came out was that she had this hands-off policy for 6 months, which is not the sort of thing you expect to hear in popular culture, but
Right.
there's a level of wisdom that's out there if you look for it.
Right.
For sure.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Sarah.
Okay, so I'm married to Yonason, and what else? I'm a mom of 4 kids. They're a girl, boy, girl, and
they're all out of the house.
Yes. I'm not one of those people that suffered from empty nest syndrome. So I kind of reinvented myself professionally when I was a mom, because I wanted to have a career that was compatible with raising a lot of kids. Our kids are very closely together in age. When Abigail is our oldest, and when she was 6, right? She hadn't even turned 6 yet. She was almost 6. She was 5 and 3/4. We had child number 4. So that they're pretty close. The last two are 18 months apart.
Yeah.
So it was a little busy in the house.
Now, was that planned, or was that the plan?
Well, I mean, I was 28 when I got married, and we didn't have kids the first 2 years we were married, so I was 30. So I was conscious. I always wanted to have a big family, and it's part of the Jewish culture. Thank you. And so I mean, we felt we were managing. Number 4 was a handful, I will say. So that's why number 4 was a busy girl. But I wanted to have a career that I would be compatible with being a mom and being a wife. And I went back to school when we moved to St. Louis, Missouri, 28 years ago. And I was like, gosh, what can I do with myself? Because I worked in music and I'd worked in advertising. I was like, I don't really want to do that stuff anymore. And obviously I had taken some time off having all these kids. And I had been teaching part-time Judaic studies. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to like pursue this teaching bit a bit more. And one of our neighbors had a child that has Down syndrome. And she needed somebody helping him out at school. And so I said, well, I can do that. I'll do that part-time and see if I like the special ed world. I really, really enjoyed special ed. And so I investigated it, and it was like, oh, this is something that it will pay decently as I'm doing everything.
Sure.
We live in Missouri, which has a phenomenal teacher pension plan. I was pretty practical about all of this. And it wasn't going to cost me a fortune to get certified as a special education teacher. I wanted to work in the public school system. And so I did that. And so I'm a special educator. Now I've worked in the public school setting for about, 22 years? I think about 22 years.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy teaching kids how to read fluidly. That is like my jam. But so that's what I do.
And I can't be impressed enough. I just couldn't imagine dealing with the kids that my wife deals with. And
they're really good kids.
Yeah,
they're
just good kids. But
very
we all have our different talents, our different strengths, and the things we're designed for.
They're just different. So we have a daughter with Down syndrome, so we definitely can relate to that. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, so right down the street from Providence, Rhode Island. And Cheryl grew up in St. Louis, East St. Louis.
Right. When we met before,
where we are now.
Well, East St. Louis. That's really Illinois.
Across the river.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So tell us, what is going on in your world today? And what have you learned in your 36 years of marriage? Because, we're all about highlighting relationships and marriage, and 36 years, I'm sure you have something to share.
Everybody hears this, everybody's told it, and I think that we have trouble believing it, that marriage is hard work. Relationships are hard work. It's wonderful to watch these romantic movies and read these romantic books and stories. Happily ever after is a wonderful ending. But for most of us, we really have to work. Two people. I was watching a comedian, and he said, just imagine God up in heaven, and he says to the angels, "Hey, look what I did. I created two creatures. They're completely incompatible, and I'm going to make them live together for their entire lives."
So I'm not leaving. It's just I'm going to run and take something out of the oven. It will literally take me 30 seconds. You cover. Okay, I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
They can hold down the fort while she's gone.
Yeah, it's we all have our baggage. We all have our childhood issues that we have to overcome. We all have our personality quirks and flaws. We're not perfect.
Right.
And we're much more forgiving with ourselves than we are with other people, when really it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's a long journey. And I think that most of us aren't prepared for it, no matter how much we think we are.
Right.
And a lot of people, they give up too early. They have unreasonable expectations, and they don't understand that. In Scripture, it says that when Isaac married Rebekah, it says that he married her and he loved her.
Yes. And
it's interesting that it says it in that order, because real love emerges through the giving to one another. The Hebrew word for love is ahava, from the word hav, which means give.
Yes.
Invest in another person. You come to love them. That's why parents love children more than children love parents. It's just nature of the relationship.
Yeah.
And when we're focused on what can I do for you, how can I make you happy, then, and each partner has that attitude towards the other. That's what creates a deep bond that gets us through the challenges.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, we're gonna take another quick break. I apologize, and we're gonna take a quick break. If you're watching live, it'll just be a few seconds, and if you're watching through stream, it might be a little bit longer. But we're gonna be right back in just a moment. All right, we are back. I am Love Builder Show, Casper and Cheryl. I almost missed our break. I was
so leaned in.
Yeah, I almost missed the break. But we are here with Rabbi Yos. Man, why am I Jonas? I know it's easy for you to say. It's your name.
It's 3 syllables. So yo,
Like Rocky, yo.
nah. That's the NA, and then
Jonas.
son. Yonason.
Jonason.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
Hebrew,
have it now, but at the end, yeah. Anyway, we're here with this awesome couple, and we were just talking about how they got, how they met, and how they came together, and now we're kind of getting into a little bit of kind of where you are now, and kind of unpack that a little bit, because you guys are empty nesters now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so going from a family to now being a seasoned empty nesters, like I get excited about being empty nester, and we're in a situation where my daughter, who has Down syndrome, she lives with us, so
right.
We probably won't be empty nesters anytime soon. But I'm fascinated by couples who are empty nesters, but then they find out they have more problems than they had when the kids were around, because the kids took up most of their
whole life,
their
their
whole
whole world.
world, and then they grew apart during that time dealing with the kids. And then when the kids are all gone, they're like, I don't even really like you. So help us, give us some encouragement as far as being empty nesters. What is that like?
I mean, I find so much of the pressure of having children removed.
Yes.
So that is really nice. Like there's no homework. There's no, oh my gosh. It's like we always had a rule with our kids when they were teenagers. It's like, you need to be home by midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids are like, well, everybody else gets to stay out till this time. I'm only at Estee's house, or I'm only doing this. It's like, you need to be home at midnight. And it's like nothing good happens after midnight. Oh my God.
Right.
They hated that rule. And it's like I have like these internal body clocks, and I would know it's 12:10. They're not home. Where are they? And it's like, we did have one kid who like totaled one car, 2 cars. Just they're children.
Yes.
So I find it so refreshing not having that day-to-day worry. It's
I bet
fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's it's an opportunity when we can work on ourselves. We have alone time when we need it,
right?
And we can focus on each other. And this, like Sarah said, the responsibility, this constantly being on duty. As it were. That's when there are kids in the house.
Yeah,
you're never off.
Right.
Right.
Even if they're out of the house, you're not off.
Right.
So when the problems start, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that if we don't have a sense of commonality or partnership, we have a purpose in life, we have something that finds our home, then all of a sudden, wow, I'm married to a stranger. Who are you? What are you doing here? And why should we stick together?
But there's also like certain things that we do that like build a relationship. Like one of my friends does not like cooking. I happen to like cooking, but one of my friends doesn't like cooking. And she, like, when her kids were little, that her kids are like the same age as some of our kids, and my kids would be coming home going like, they're let's say Susie had cereal for dinner, and this was like, I make dinner and sometimes it's leftovers. Very frequently it's leftovers. Tonight we're having leftovers. But we have time. We have family time together. Even if it's just the two of us. We have dinner every night at 6:30. Obviously, the Jewish customs and traditions that we follow, that is like an intrinsic part of our family.
Sure.
Okay.
So, and like children come back for meals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have friends that come over. And so, we have, like a fairly active social life.
I mean, you think of it in terms of concentric circles, that we have
Right.
our time by ourselves, we have our time together, we have our time with our
Mhm.
kids. We still have a married son and daughter-in-law in town, so we
Right.
see them regularly. And then we have our community and our friends.
And we have your mother.
And
Like
my
his-
mother's living in the neighborhood also.
Right. His mother moved to St. Louis.
Okay.
Louis from California. As they were getting older, they were seeing all of their friends not doing well or passing away. And
Mhm.
they moved to St. Louis. And
So now my mother's almost 96. And,
Right.
Oh, amen.
right.
and
Amen.
we're going over there after, as soon as we finish recording here.
Right. Every Sunday
We
night.
take
dinner.
dinner over there.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about how close the kids were, because that's one of the downsides of our situation is only my daughter with Down syndrome is here. Everybody else is on the East Coast. So in order
Right.
to see them, we have to. It's a planned trip. We have
Right.
to go out there and hang out, and then it's only for a short period of time. But
So we have one in Los Angeles,
mhm.
one in St. Louis,
Mhm.
one in New York City, and one in
Wow.
Jerusalem.
Oh my-
Wow. That's
we
really
do a
spread
lot.
out.
Keep the airlines in business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just got back from LA. I went to LA for 4 days, 5 days
Mhm.
to babysit
Yeah,
because my
basically, yeah.
daughter
Yeah, basically.
had a day off of work. Like the kids had finished school, but she and her husband still had to go to work. So I went out to babysit and see a performance. And, in the summertime, hopefully, Bezrat Hashem, please God,
Mhm.
our son in New York, his wife is having a baby number 2.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go for a week and help there. And, there's
Yeah.
a lot of plane trips. The one here in St. Louis is really convenient. It's really nice.
Well, guys,
It's nice having one down the street.
that's very awesome, because we run into couples who become empty nesters and they really don't know what to do with themselves.
Right.
Some of them find it hard to detach from the day-to-day of being on duty with children. And now that they don't have to be on duty with children, they don't know what to do with themselves. And so one of the things that we teach in I Am Love Builders is for couples is to stay connected. Even though you have children,
Yeah.
don't lose yourself. And I know a lot of people may push back, but we believe in order for the family to be strong, the marriage has to be strong. And that means mom and dad needs to have some alone time and have some scheduled time for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that if you carry that, have a date night, coffee day, whatever it is, so that you two can connect, then when the children start to move out on their own, it's not as devastating for you.
Yeah, we have really exciting date nights. Like oh, can you go to Costco with me? that's like my favorite date night. I'm like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
And then if I go to Costco myself, it's 10 minutes in and out. If I go,
Exactly.
it's a more extensive enterprise.
Right. And it's like, oh, have you ever thought
That's-
about doing this?
That's the give and take that relationships are all about.
Yeah, and it doesn't take going somewhere fancy all the time. Just going shopping together is bonding. Going out for dinner sometimes. It doesn't have to be a fancy dinner, 5-course meal kind of thing. It could be just a simple, just hanging out, just going for ice cream, right?
Right.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, and every summer we typically take a trip to one of the national parks. We both like hiking. We both like nature.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
So, to have a shared interest that, if I like surfing, she likes skiing, we have a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
To find something that we have in common that we both enjoy.
All right.
Look forward to for the course of a year.
All right. We're going to take our last break.
Okay.
I know it goes really quick. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about TED Talk, because I've heard a lot about TED Talks over the years. I watched quite a few of them. I want to know about how that all kind of unfolded. So we're going to take a quick break. If you're watching live, just be a few seconds. And when we come back, we're going to hear from Yonason Did I get it right?
Hey, good
All
job.
right. We're going to hear about his TED Talk experience. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, Casper and Cheryl here with I Am Love Builders. We are interviewing some awesome folks from St. Louis area, Rabbi Yonason and Sarah Goldson. And Yonason is a professional speaker and an advisor. His website is ethicsninja.com. Now, Yonason, you mentioned that you did a TED Talk. So how did that all come about? How did you get to the TED Talk stage? How did that happen?
Done two.
Yeah, I've actually done two.
Oh,
Or
two.
actually, I've done the same one twice. But I, when I retired from teaching in 2016, and that's when I started my professional speaking business.
Mhm.
So one of the quickest ways to get credibility as a speaker is to give a TED Talk.
Yes, I agree.
They are, I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity, and they're somewhat formulaic. You have an idea. They want a new idea, of course, with a couple of hundred TED Talks out there.
Mhm.
I don't think they're all new ideas, but
Thousands,
to
a
take
couple of hundred.
a couple of, did I say what, 100? It's a
You
couple
said
of
100.
couple of 100,000.
Yeah, like
Excuse me.
yeah, there's
Uh,
tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Of TikTok.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the ideas that I'm passionate about,
Mhm.
which are the universal principles of Judaism, and that's how I come to ethics. The idea of being responsible for ourselves and responsible to others, and having a sense of higher purpose,
Mhm.
and to develop that theme through my story of
Okay.
searching and traveling, going around the world. So I started looking for. You go on the TED site,
Mhm.
and you can look up all the TED Talks that are going to be given. They're main stage ones that are almost impossible to get, but then
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
local ones, what are called TEDx,
Okay.
and then start weeding through what are ones that the timing's right. A lot of them are on Saturdays, which is a non-starter for me.
Sure.
And I got one in New York at St. John's University. It went pretty well, but unfortunately the video did not come out.
Mm.
Okay.
So I went looking again, found one in Colorado Springs,
Ah,
and it was one of those cases which so often happen where I was so grateful in the end that the first one didn't come out, because the venue was better, the cameras were better, the crowd was better, I was better,
Yeah.
mhm.
and really ended up with a first-rate video where I could talk about, I could basically tell my story and tell the practical lessons that I learned along my personal journey.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now,
That's awesome.
Now with TED Talks, I'm told, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no financial compensation. You kind of have to. I mean, you give the talk and that's it.
Yeah.
And then those talk, the recording is basically theirs, right? I mean,
It's in the public. Everything's in the public domain.
Yeah, it's public domain, but I mean, it's not. Other than getting the notoriety of having given a TED Talk, there's not a lot of.
There's no monetization that comes from it.
Right.
But when I sell myself as a speaker, you go on my website, you see a picture of me giving a TED Talk.
Absolutely.
People have that to go to. Can this person speak?
Right.
My talk. They see that it's articulate, and that it's interesting, and that it's humorous, and that it has a message that's relevant.
Well, there's definitely benefits to it. Is there a length of time that they like for you to speak, and what's the time?
The maximum is 18 minutes.
Okay.
The conventional wisdom is the shorter the better.
Mm-hmm.
You can go on one. You can find one. He was on that the flight that landed, Captain Sully's flight that landed on the Hudson.
Yeah.
It's a 5-minute talk. It's awfully short, but
Wow.
very, very powerful, as you might imagine.
Absolutely.
12 minutes. People have no attention spans anymore with social media. So I think 12 minutes is about ideal. Mine was about 15.
Okay. Yeah, we get a lot more plays and views on our short reels that we do from these shows that we do live. We cut them up into segments and put those out, and those get a lot more activity. This is being streamed on a couple of different platforms right now live. Before I forget, guys, don't disconnect after we're done with the show. I want to just do a quick debrief.
Okay.
So yeah, no, the TED Talk thing is fascinating to me. So I know it's a good venue to do. In fact, I've often thought about doing a TED Talk. When I had my little stint in politics, I think they try to stay away from political
Oh
TED
yeah.
Talks. Yeah. But
Yeah, and it's a way, giving a TED Talk makes you a better speaker.
mhm.
And I probably invested about 60 hours of preparation for a 15-minute talk.
Right. Now you mentioned they had a venue opening or so. So you go on the site and you look for openings. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
they have the listings of all
The
the
upcoming.
TEDx talks
Yeah.
that are coming up, and they're international. So
Mhm.
you have a lot to wade through. If you can find something that's regional, that's usually an advantage, because local conferences want local speakers most of the time.
Mhm.
So whatever
And
region you're in, you look around in that region, and that gives you a
and
little bit of a leg in.
you do have to apply
Yeah.
for them. Like they might get hundreds or thousands of people applying for maybe 10 slots.
Yeah, when there were about 300 applicants for the one I gave in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
Wow.
They took, I forget, 10 or 12 speakers.
Now, did you send them a sample video or anything like that?
Well,
Or
they all have different processes, but
Mhm.
many of them will ask for a sample video,
Mhm.
or they'll ask for you to give a description. They'll ask for links to talks that you've given. They want to see how you sound on the stage.
Sure.
Okay.
Because they're concerned. They want to
Oh,
give
yeah.
their audience the best value they can.
For sure. Okay, we've got about 3 minutes left. Tell us about Ethics Ninja. Leave the audience with some points on that.
Well, it sounds a little bit like an oxymoron. As we think of ninjas as assassins and covert, dark players. But my another book that I've written is called Grappling with the Gray,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole concept of ethics is that when things are black and white, it's pretty clear what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But the difficult choices in life are the ones that are not black and white.
Mm.
And grappling with those gray areas is when we really need ethics to guide us.
Mm.
So just like a ninja lives in the shadows
Mm-hmm.
and shifts his weight and anticipates what the enemy is going to do.
Yes.
So we have to be very clever. We have to be very thoughtful. And we have to be vigilant and diligent because you never know when you're going to find yourself in a situation where your values are going to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
It can be something simple like going into a store, you come out and you realize that they undercharged you.
Mm.
What are you going to do?
Right.
Ooh, I got away with something, or no, my integrity is worth more than $20. I'm going to go in and make this right.
Yes.
Somebody asks you to misrepresent them. Could you do me a favor? So now you have your loyalty to this person. You want to help them out,
Mm-hmm.
but they're asking you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
To think about these things ahead of time. This is, my podcast is also called Grappling with the Gray, and every week we discuss a different ethical scenario.
Mm-hmm.
How do we evaluate this? Not trying to solve the problem as much as trying to examine the issue from all the possible angles.
Yeah.
And there's a quote that I love. It's from a French philosopher, Joseph Joubert, that it's better to discuss a subject without resolving it than to resolve a subject without discussing it.
Very good.
Yes. Now, are you mainly talking to corporations about these things, or individuals, or
Corporations, professional associations. I'm speaking to a group, actually 2 different groups of CEOs next week. And I also am available for individual coaching as well.
Very good. Okay, if you want more information about Ethics Ninja, go to ethicsninja.com.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for coming on the show. We really appreciate you. I know time just flies on this, so but I really appreciate you. Folks, you can go to our website right now and get a free ebook. You can download it for free. It's the first 5 chapters of our book, Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. It has a lot of information for singles on there as well. So check that out. You can get a free love assessment, a 5 or 20-minute love assessment to kind of help you understand your love persona.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of great stuff on the site for free. You can check us out on social media as well. We want you to become MVPs, most valuable partners in your relationship. If you're working on becoming an MVP and your spouse is working on becoming an MVP, when you guys come together, that's what makes the magic happen. So we are excited for you to do that. And remember, if you're
If you're
not
not
having
having
fun,
fun,
you're
you're
not
not
doing
doing
it
it
right.
right.
We will see you guys on the next show. Bye-bye.